female Dreamworld ride operator instructed by senior park manager not to talk to police after tragedy by Ellie Simpson updated June 20, 2018 18:28 and 28 seconds ph. Odo, 2 rafts collided on the Thunder River Rapids ride, killing 4 people. AAP, Dan Palade. Related story, Dreamworld operator on her first day. When 4 people died on Rapids ride. Related story, avalanche of negatives. Dreamworld's reputation irretrievable after inquiry. Map, Southport 421. 5A junior ride operator at Dreamworld has told an inquest she felt pressured by a senior park manager not to speak to police after the Thunder Rive. Our Rapids ride tragedy in which 4 people were killed. Courtney Williams was one of 2 people running the ride at the theme park at Upper Coamara and 2 rafts collided and the group was thrown to their deaths. Kate Goodchild, Luke Dorset, Rosie Aragi and Cindy Lowe died following the ride. Melfu NCTIONN crash in October 2016. Ms. Williams told the inquest she was instructed by a senior park manager at Dreamworld not to speak to police after the tragedy, but said she later gave a statement to officers at a station. So he told you not to say anything to anyone, don't give any statements and just to wait over near the site, is that correct? Barrister Toby Nielsen for the Aragi family asked Ms. Williams. Yes, Ms. Williams replied. Did why? Feel under pressure not to talk to police? Mr. Nielsen asked. Yes, Ms. Williams replied. Photo, Courtney Williams told the court she felt pressured not to talk to police. ABC News, Tom Forbes. Earlier she told the court she only had about an hour and a half of training before she commenced our shift on the day of the deaths. Ms. Williams said she arrived for her shift at 9:15 a.m. on October 25, 2016 and was told she was rostered as a level T WO operator. She said she had not performed that role before and was given about an hour and a half of training. Operator didn't know emergency TTON would stop ride. Ms. Williams told the inquest she did not remember being shown how to shut down the ride and said she was told by a trainer about the emergency stop button who said she didn't know the emergency button would stop the conveyor from moving. Don't worry about it, you do. NT need to use it. It was my first day. I wasn't confident operating the control panel, Ms. Williams said. Photo, Courtney Williams said she only had about an hour and a half of training before she commenced her shift. Facebook, Courtney Williams. I could press them if I was comfortable and confident to do so, however I was not. She told the inquest she did not believe she had sufficient training on part I now know I should have. She testified she thought the ride would shut down automatically if the large water pumps feeding the ride failed. Ms. Williams said she was never told by supervisors that there had been issues with the water pumps on the ride previously, but had heard about issues through general conversations at work. She said she had her back to the conveyor and noticed her colleague Peter Namath's facial expression change and realized something was wrong. I heard noises behind me and that's when I saw the raft coming down, Ms. Williams said. Did you think about using the e-stop council assisting the coroner? Rhiannon Helson asked. I had completely forgotten about the e-stop, Ms. Williams replied. Under cross-examination by Barrister Matthew Hickey for Cindy Lowe's family, Ms. Williams was asked what she would have done if she had known the emergency stop within reach of her halted the conveyor with. In 2 seconds, I would have waited for my senior operator to tell me to press it, Ms. Williams said. She testified she had never had any emergency rescue, first aid or CPR training at Dreamworld and had only participated in fire drills. Were you ever asked by supervisors if you thought training was satisfactory? Mr. Hickey asked. I was never asked, no, Ms. Williams replied. She also told the court the day of the fatalities was the last day ever employment at Dreamworld. Impossible to manage responsibilities, senior operator. Earlier, the senior ride operator Peter Namath told the Inc. It was impossible to manage all of the responsibilities required of him while loading a new raft. Photo, Peter Namath was one of 2 people running the Thunder River Rapids ride, with 36 checks required in less than a minute. AAP, Dan Palade. The court heard the level 3 ride operator had to supervise his less experienced colleague, ensure seat belts were secure on guests, monitor visitor lines, monitor raft movements, watch the conveyor, watch the large water pumps, ensure there were no obstructions on the ride and tell people to smile for the camera, amongst other tasks. I suggest it is impossible for a human being to do all of those things within less than a minute, Mr. Hickey asked. Previous incidents: January 2001 Khaleesi on of rafts due to operator error. October 2004, a visitor fell into the water while unloading when rafts bumped together. August 2005, 3 rafts mounted up together at the same time. 19 October 2016, water pump failed but nobody hurt. 25 October 2016, 2 water pumps failed at 11:50 a.m. and 1:09 p.m. 25 October 2016, fatal incident at 2 p.m. 1 pump failed and 2 rafts collided on conveyor. Mr. Namath replied, "Yes, I agree." The court heard Mr. Namath was never trained to deal with potential catastrophic events at the theme park. Hickey, were you trained in first aid? Namath, no. Hickey, were you trained in CPR? Namath, no. Hickey, were you trained in any way to rescue passengers who might become trapped in the ride? Namath, no. Barrister Stephen WHYBR. Acting on behalf of the family of Ms. Goodchild and Mr. Dorset, told Mr. Namath, "As far as they're concerned, I have been instructed to tell you they don't hold you in the least bit responsible for what happened that day." The court heard about 6 months prior to the fatal incident, someone was skylarking and fell out of the log ride at Dreamworld and into the water. Photo: Ruzi Iraqi, Luke Dorset, Kate Goodchild, and Senilo lost their lives on the ride. Facebook: Mr. Warbrow said the operators were not aware of the incident until the log came back empty. Mr. Namath also operated the log ride on some shifts and told the inquest he recalled more CCTV cameras being installed after the incident. Operator can't comment on whether he hit wrong button during cross-examination. Barrister Toby Nielsen for the Aragi family suggested Mr. Namath hit a slow stop button for the convoy. 10 seconds after the 2 rafts had collided. Mr. Namath testified he hit the button before the crash occurred, which the operator denied. "I can't comment on that." Mr. Namath replied, "Is it possible you hit the wrong buttons in a panic?" Mr. Nielsen asked. Under cross-examination by Barrister Jan S. Bell for Ardent Leisure, Mr. Namath was questioned about his training as a Level 3 operator. The court heard the ride operator completed 1 full day of training with an instructor who then returned on the second day to supervise him opening and closing the ride. "Yes," Mr. Namath replied. "Did you feel comfortable? You had no further questions?" Mr. Bill asked. He told the court he had access to supervisors at any time and felt comfortable approaching them. Topics: courts and trials, law, crime and justice, people, human interest, grief, community and society, emergency incidents, disaster and accidents, company news, business, economics and finance. Southport 4215, QLD, Australia. Coimere 4209, Brisbane 4000. First posted June 20, 2018. 11:50 and 46 seconds. Contact Ellie Simpson. More stories from Queensland.